Muppets Take Manhattan. Alright, the Muppets are back, and this time they're taking on the Big Apple, baby, New York City. That's right, the Muppets took Manhattan 5 whole years before Jason, and 2 years before he went to space, so I can only conclude we'll eventually be getting this. The movie opens with the Muppets graduating college and doing one last theater performance of their big play. Kind of a bummer we don't get to see any of their frat life hijinks or what they learned, apparently not consent. So, the Muppets decide to take their show to the big leagues, Broadway, and venture off to New York in an attempt to pitch their production and get it greenlit. It's a decently promising premise, but it doesn't really live up to its full potential. Look, I really wanted to like this one, but honestly, I found it pretty disappointing, and it kinda just fell flat for me. After watching the first 2 Muppet movies and seeing how thoughtful and well-produced those ones were, this one feels a little off in comparison. It's still pretty good, and there's a decent chunk of funny moments, but I can't help but see this one as a bit of a step backwards. Remember when I talked about how The Great Muppet Caper felt like this superb follow-up that went above and beyond just being your average straightforward sequel? This feels like that lost second movie most people would have expected. For starters, Muppets Take Manhattan kinda feels a bit softer than the first 2, like they dialed back a lot of their edge significantly, which is kinda surprising considering the setting is New York. After facing a barrage of rejection, the Muppets, penniless and down on their luck, show up to this little restaurant where we meet Jenny. The super sweet, always positive, extra optimistic, cute as a button voice of reason with dreams of becoming a fashion designer. She becomes the main human character of the cast in this one, with her quickly forming a friendly bond with Kermie, causing Miss Piggy to rage with jealousy from afar, and I'm sorry, this is just so boring. She's such a blank character, unbefitting for the tone of the Muppets. Like, every scene with her, I can't help but just think of, like, Sesame Street, where the humans just kind of talk down to the puppet characters like children with that patronizing tone of voice where you're trying to explain to Big Bird that people die and don't come back.
Feel better? Oh, good. Exercise does the trick.
Jenny's character isn't just bland and forgettable, she's clearly completely non-threatening to Miss Piggy and Kermit's relationship, so this whole subplot just becomes so boring. It would have been nice to see, I don't know, some real drama that could have in turn made for a better comedy, you know, kind of like the last movie with Nikki Holiday.
Please, Piggy.
No, please! No, please, please!
Forgive me, Miss Piggy.
They should have had Jenny feel like an actual New Yorker. I don't know, maybe she does like Kermit. Maybe she's into that frog stuff. Maybe she's sleazy or self-serving. At least that'd be more interesting than this bland Snow White. The pacing in this one also feels really disjointed and all over the place. And pretty quickly after failing to sell their play, the Muppets disband and go their separate ways. And we get a look at where each Muppet ends up, which is pretty funny.
I didn't know this cave was co-ed.
My name's Beth. Maybe if we snuggle.
Kermit.
But the problem is, once they all get separated, the movie completely loses its momentum, and we're stuck with boring-ass Jenny and Kermit and Miss Piggy for quite a while. We do get to see Rizzo and the Kitchen Rats, who carry this movie on their furry little backs. They're like the only semblance of that funny-ass bite we've come to expect with the Muppets and their humor.
What a crazy body. So, like, you got a boyfriend or what, huh?
They're dirty, they're crude, and best of all, they're disgustingly horny.
Is something wrong?
Do you believe in interspecies dating?
Oh, and their little song here in the kitchen fucking slaps. Muppets Take Manhattan just kind of spins its wheels and meanders for a large chunk of its runtime with hardly any payoff. Almost every aspect of it feels either like a step back or a huge missed opportunity. Like, the way the Muppets finally get their Broadway play greenlit is the most unsatisfying thing ever. Kermit just kind of runs into this guy and his big shot producer dad, and they're just like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And bafflingly, the movie completely glosses over what would have been the most fun and entertaining thing to watch, witnessing the chaos of the Muppets trying to put on a Broadway musical. We don't get any of it, nothing. The movie completely skips to the opening night. What the hell? You're telling me we could have got the Nightman Kermit? You know, where everything seemingly goes wrong, the struggles of seeing them all try to rehearse and coordinate this big production, it would have been so much more fun. Whatever, I guess we'll always have Meet the Feebles.
I thought you were nice.
I am nice.
No, you're not. You're loose. And you drink.
No.
It just feels like a huge waste. There's a lot of weird and glaring missed opportunities like this. Like, the pieces are all there. Like, in the 11th hour of the movie, Kermit gets amnesia, okay, and ends up starting a new life as Frog Draper, joining a marketing team of fellow frogs.
I feel bad for you.
Huh, well, I don't think about you at all. The main obstacle being that they're actually really bad at their job and can't sell anything.
I don't like it.
You don't? Oh. Well, how about Ocean Breeze soap? It's just like taking an ocean cruise, only there's no boat and you don't actually go anywhere.
Seems a bit long.
And like, yeah, it's funny on its own, but again, no real payoff. It's so weird that on one side you have the Muppets struggling to sell their play, right? And on the other side you have these marketing frogs struggling to sell things. I mean, it's reasonable to assume that these threads would converge, but they don't. Kermit gets his memory back on the night of the big show, and finally we're gonna see this big play that the whole movie has been building up to. No, this whole time it was just a vehicle for the movie to do Kermit and Miss Piggy's wedding. That's it, that's the payoff. They're gonna get married. Even though for the last 90 minutes we've been subject to their relationship at its most uninteresting.
Is here with me today, Miss Piggy. And Miss Piggy is now starring in her third movie. It's called The Muppets.
Let's hurry it up, David.
Excuse me, I wanted to say the name of the movie, Miss Piggy. Don't you want me to say the name of the movie? Miss Piggy, starring in The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oh, thank you. Took a little long. Thank you very much.
There's something
It's natural to pigs.
Natural to pigs, but
yes.
No, there's something different about you today that I haven't sensed before. I don't know, is there something new in your life? Some new relationship? Something new that's...
Something did happen in the movie The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Really?
Yes.
Can we perhaps take a look at that?
Oh.
Can we...
Oh, yes, of course. The clip that my 14 PR people brought over. Yes.
Yes, that's the one. Let's take a look at that.
They spoiled the ending on the goddamn news. Yeah, the marketing leading up to Muppets Take Manhattan centered around all this buzz of Kermit and Miss Piggy finally tying the knot. Like, yeah, I guess this is a huge big deal if you treat these characters and their relationships like some sort of real-life celebrity tabloid, but in terms of, watching it as a movie, it's completely unsatisfying and feels very disconnected from everything before it. I've been really harsh on this one, but it's only because of the incredibly high standard the first two set. Instead of Henson, this one was actually directed by Frank Oz, and I think he does a pretty good job here, but it just doesn't seem to have that nice attention to the little details the last movie had. And they really struggled to capture that good balance of adult and family humor. Like, the first two had some incredible shots and sequences that really left you with your head scratching with how they pulled it off. Meanwhile, this one introduces the Muppet Babies, which is, could not be any more emblematic of the direction they went here. There's ultimately very little that stands out as some huge feat of ingenuity, which is fine. They don't gotta flex every time. Scaling things back could have worked if the movie was actually well-paced and interesting. But you end up with a movie that feels like a bunch of really disjointed skits with the characters all separated in different environments, which, it does evoke the spirit of the Muppet Show in a way, but as a film, it's just not satisfying. Again, it's still funny, it has its moments, Rizzo and the rats are incredible, but emotionally, it left me kind of feeling empty, and it's definitely not one I'm rushing to rewatch. Muppets Take Manhattan, okay, but very underwhelming and a bit of a step down.
Phil.
Phil. Catchy name. Phil, I'm Bill, and this is Gil.
Phil, I'm Gil, and this is Jill.
Phil, I'm Jill. Gil and Bill.
Pleased to meet you.